and she'll pay for it. She's more or less paying for the conversation and the information about you know, the university.
Roll 3d12
3d12.
to determine how much he charges you for the piece.
24.
24 gold pieces for the little Finkel piece. Evie, are you doing anything in the shop while this conversation and purchase is taking place?
She's just gonna browse around, maybe look for something like a music box, some little curiosity that might catch her interest. I guess she's gonna be looking around, see is there anything in here that looks unique or special.
Yes and no, because on one hand, like every piece that you pick up is literally unique. It has a different form and function than anything else in the shop. But on the other hand, when you step back and just look at the shelf full of stuff, it just all blends together. It just all kind of looks like random ticking, clicking, ringing, clockwork mishmash.
Before we head out, I guess, does he have any does he know if the arms factory will let visitors appear?
Depends. Visitors, no, but if you have business there, make yourself approachable. He doesn't do any business with the arms factory. He has no use for their product, and they have no use for his mechanisms.
Okay. Well, I think we should. I think actually, it's just, well, thank you for your information. I don't have any more questions for him.
Okay.
I guess I'll try to strike up a conversation with one of the daughters if they speak Darkanese.
The girls do not.
Okay.
But they're happy to answer any questions you have about the store or its products through their father.
Yeah, I guess I'll just look for like a little cheap little music box like little thing.
Okay. Roll 3d12.
I mean, don't roll a 12 and a 10 like I did.
13.
And you buy a Finkel clockwork trinket for 13 pieces of gold.
Okay.
So each of you have one now.
Evie thinks it's really cool.
I think we should actually take some time at some point and approach the arms factory for a business proposition, because if we could equip our militia with firearms of a decent quality and secure a supply of gunpowder and ammunition, that would go a long way.
I don't know that we have the funds for something like that right now, but
I mean, we could price it, or we could go in and steal them.
Well, I would prefer not to do that. That completely destroys your opportunities for future business, Jeannie. You got to think long term.
Right. Well, yeah.
I am thinking long term. That's why I want to go steal all the guns.
Just go in and because what I could do is I could infuse a second bag of holding, and we could just go in there and just stuff both of them full of guns and ammunition and gunpowder.
Then I have to go on RPG Horror Stories. These assholes made 2 bags of holding, and they filled one with booze and the other with bombs, and now I don't know what to do.
Just make sure you give the bag to either Victor or Edmont.
Are we done at Finkel's?
Yeah, Evie got a little souvenir.
Okay.
I assume it's like a little music box.
I mean, it doesn't play any kind of charming music, but yeah, you can got a little gadget that makes noise. It's a music box in the sense that it has little ringing bells and clacking wood pieces and things.
He just thinks it's cute.
Victor and Edmont.
Sure.
The Syndicate House is not a members-only establishment, but it does have a fairly large members-only feel to it. You don't have access to the gaming rooms. You don't have access to the premium parts of the menu. But they are used to seeing foreigners, especially merchants and guildsmen, coming through the city, either doing business at the Syndicate House or just having it as their as their preferred watering hole while they're in the city, so to speak. There's enough Darkanese afoot that you guys could have a rumbling conversation if need be. But they definitely want you to know that this is a place where the likes of you are not welcome in the back room, if you get their drift. Other than that, it's a perfectly cromulent tap house. What are your goals on this visit?
So Victor specifically wants to basically eavesdrop and get as much information as he can on the city, how the city works, who's in charge of the city, what exactly goes on at the university.
Okay.
Any rumors.
So you're looking to overhear. Like, you're going to order a drink, sit at the bar, and just listen to some ambient conversation. You're not trying to...
So he's got to listen to some ambient conversation to start with, and as he picks up on something more interesting, he'll kind of focus on those.
Go ahead and give me a investigation check. Make this charisma investigation. What about Edmont?
Edmont is going to...
I hate my life. That is a 13.
Okay.
Yeah, Edmont is going to, listen, is going to try and pick up rumors himself with, Could I do that? Could I do that to give Victor advantage on this sort of thing?
Is your goal the
If I'm
same as
working-
Victor's? You're trying to find out like who runs the city and how does it work?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll let you help with that if you want.
Yeah.
Give Victor advantage on that roll.
Oh, that's better. That makes it a 21.
Okay. Officially,
I'm willing to spread some coin around if that'll loosen some lips.
well, you're just like trying to overhear to begin with
Yeah.
and ask a couple pointed questions, or help Victor ask a few pointed questions. Officially, the Baron of Ludendorff is a man named Rudolf von Aubrecker. Aubrecker has not been seen in many years, and the conversation you have is over whether or not the Baron is even still alive. One of the parties in this conversation insists that if the Baron were still alive, there would be no sense in increasing the tariffs on whale fuel that have just gone through. The Baron would never stand for that, whereas the other man insists, no, of course, the Baron must be still alive, because that's exactly the sort of insane and nonsensical thing that the Baron would do.
Albrecker, and I'm assuming that's that he's the one that the bridge that we crossed to get here is named. I would assume.
Yes, if you see, where is it at on the map here?
Number 9.
Yeah. Aubrecker's Crossing. It's named after his family. His family has been running the city for generations. Rudolf
But
von
he
Aubrecker...
hasn't been seen?
He hasn't been seen. He had no children, he did not marry, and he's not been seen in several years.
Where does he normally stay? Are we able to find that out? Like where his palace or house or whatever would be?
Is it marked on this map? I don't actually see it on the map here. But, yes, his family's holdings would be Schloss Aubrecker, which was the manor. You wouldn't be allowed inside, of course, but...
Well, of course not legally.
Most of the business done at the gates of Schloss Aubrecker are done with... what's the man's name?
Brick, I would just like to point out that
Yep.
Victor is chaotic neutral,
Mhm.
Edmont is neutral evil, and both of us want to find out information. So legality is not necessarily going to be a constraint here.
Lawful evil.
His butler, Gerda, does most of the day-to-day business, usually at the gates of the manor. The people who actually run the city, everybody in the Syndicate House agrees, are the guild halls, the businesses, the factories. There's a conglomerate in a smoky back room somewhere who makes the decisions on how the city should prosper and continue forward. And obviously, none of the working people in the city are ever given a seat at that table, but people are pretty sure there's a table somewhere made up of fat cats. But legally and officially, the Von Albrechters are in charge.
Are we able to find out any of the names of those fat cats, or who they might be?
Depends on who you ask. You get different answers from a lot of different people. The Syndicate House here is in a district called Payfair in the center of the town, which is one of the more upscale districts, if such a thing can be said. So there's some trade halls, guildsmen's offices, much less industry than on the other side of the wall. So the people here all seem to think it's the industrialists, it's the whaling industry, it's the university is their enemy number one. They're the ones with all the political clout. But you get the sense that if you ask the same questions of other people, you would get different answers.
No one drops any specific names that we can go check on.
Oh, lots of names. As many names
Okay.
as you could ever care to have.
Not what we were hoping for, but okay.
And they argue about the names.
And the other big pointed question would be, what goes on at the university? How do you get it? How do you gain entrance? What do they teach there? What are the rumors circulating around about it?
Like I said, university is enemy number one at a place like this. So if you start asking questions about the university, they tell you you're better off drinking there. If that's your goal. They teach all kinds of useless nonsense.
So Victor will try and leverage the dislike of the university to find out what do they hate most, how evil is the university, what terrible things do they do.
Terrible things that they do is that they're bad for business. A lot of the money and the industry that's funneling in and through the city disappears at the university in their endless experiments and their escapades and their ridiculous ventures into machinery and magic and medicine. And when that energy and money could be better spent in the business interests of the city, and essentially making the people who run the offices and the guild halls more wealthy. That's their opinion, at least.
You just described the relationship of Jeannie and her family. She's a black hole of money.
While all this is going on, Edmont is actually he's not capturing landscape for once in his life. He's actually he's kind of drawing a sketch of people in one of those smoky rooms.
Okay.
Just trying to catch the general vibe.
So we know one person who's in that smoky room then.
Edmont, give me an insight check. Actually, no, use your passive insight, because you're busy sketching.
16.
16?
Yep.
The act of sitting in this bar with your drink and sketching things out, you're drawing some suspicion. The people around you have taken note of what you're doing, and you can tell that they don't much care for it, but nobody confronts you about it. They just let you do your work. Do either of you get completely plastered at the Syndicate House?
No.
Okay, I spend some amount of money depending on what shelf you want to drink from, but don't spend zero. At least a gold piece, I would say.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
Okay. But yes, the Syndicate House has a gaming room, and it has a smoke room, and you're not allowed to go into either of them.
Do we find out how we can get allowed to go into those?
They've loud proclamations
Not
to the effect of
foreigners.
you're not allowed in, but very light on the information on how. But
Not be foreigners for the start. I would imagine.
Probably.
it depends on how wealthy you are and whether you're doing business in town and whether it's with the right people.
So yeah, I guess after we finish our initial round of information gathering, Victor will pose to Edmont that we should go look at the university.
I'm I'm loath to push up against our patrons' advice.
He just said it was dangerous.
He gave the
We're
impression
used
it
to
was
danger.
dangerous. He didn't actually say it was dangerous.
I think we've been in enough dangerous situations where we'll be okay as long as we don't try to start any trouble.
Well, are the two of you done here at the Syndicate House, or was there anything else that you wanted to try to accomplish?
No, I think we're good.
Yeah, just mainly just get a general lay of the land.
The drink was on the up and up, by the way. It wasn't gut rot. Didn't poison you.
Very good.
Decent middle shelf or whatever.
Yeah.
Actually, are there any bars around the university?
The university itself would have.
Okay.
What's the word that I'm thinking of for like the
A lounge?
yeah, like a lounge area for
Yeah,
students or
Victor's.
administrators, or yeah, there'd probably be several.
Okay, yeah. So Edmund, we should go to one of the lounges by the university to see their take on the situation. Now that we have the working man's opinions.
Very well.
If you're hesitant to go into the university itself.
Yeah.
So, shall we work on the assumption that the three parties that we did for afternoon actions, like that information has come back together and can inform your evening actions? Like, Ekon, do you tell these guys, hey,
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. This information is probably relevant to everybody to know
Okay.
that Victor and I came up with.
So
Sounds
evening
like-
actions will take us up like a few hours past sunset. I will allow you to take a late night action if you want, but that means you don't sleep. That means you're coming in the next day. It's like a con save or take a level of exhaustion kind of situation. So for evening actions, is anybody planning to go up to the university like Victor suggests?
Victor?
No, I think we should wait till Von Richten gets back and gives us a word.
Yeah. We don't like, I actually am intensely curious, Victor, about going to the university, but I don't want to, what is the word I'm looking for? I don't want to pollute Van Richten's like attempts to reach out to his contact. I don't want to make things more difficult for him. We generally waltz into a place and make things more difficult for everybody. So, you know.
I'm just going to get a drink. You can come get a drink with me if you'd like.
So Victor, are you going to the university to drink in one of their like student lounges?
Yeah, so are the lounges on the university itself, or are there any sort of like around the university?
The university grounds itself is very, very large. I mean, that's up to your discretion. You would be able to find a bar outside the university proper, or you'd be able to just walk onto the grounds and find. The university it's almost like a small city into itself in the center of Ludendorff.
Yeah, he's just gonna go to one of the lounges on the grounds.
On the grounds, okay.
One of them that looks the busiest.
What is Ekon doing this evening?
Is this we get an action and then we can rest, or
Yes.
this is just a normal light action, right?
Take an evening action. If you take a late night action, it means you don't sleep.
Right. I think I'm gonna stick around with Edmont tonight, actually.
What's Edmont doing?
What did you have in mind, brother? Or were you just gonna follow me?
I'm just gonna follow you. Just make sure you didn't, spend too much time alone.
Make
Sure
sure
you're all right.
Werewolf out, kill a bunch of dock workers.
Not this time of the month, apparently, but no, I think we should probably go and keep an eye on Victor.
To go to
If
the
he's going
university
actually
lounge
going to
with
the
Victor?
campus. Yeah, if he's going to the campus, then yeah.
No, well, I'm specifically not going to go to the campus until Von Richten gives us the okay, so I guess I'll do something else.
Okay,
Come back to me.
sure. What are Jeannie and Evie doing?
We could. Well, I was going to suggest we try to go to the arms factory and see about procuring a supply
Needing-
contract for various sundries that they provide.
How much money do we have if we want to do that? I don't want to show up there and not have coin.
We've got a few hundred gold on us.
Okay.
So, like, I think we have enough to flash. It's just, I want to, like, you know, I think Jeannie's probably. Jeannie thinks she is knowledgeable enough to know if they're, like, fleecing us.
Okay. Is Evie going with her?
Yeah, Evie will go with her.
Evie's name is on the checks, so she has to come.
I made a joke earlier about going to RPG horror stories and being like the guy, one bag of booze and one bag of guns. Well, Ekon, half of the party is going to drink and the other half is going to the gun store.
I'll go to the gun store.
All right.
It will
Listen.
be nice to have someone who speaks Lamordian, that's
Li-
for sure.
Listen, as Ekon has said in the past, Air provides as much fire as we need, but he also helps those who help themselves.
It's a gunpowder.
Just don't set fire in the arms factory, please.
So yeah, Victor, you drink in the lounge for 3 hours. You look outside the window and you just see more smoke coming from the direction of the arms factory than...
Is there a loud boom?
So Jeannie, Evie, and Ekon going over to the arms factory. So what's the goal? Is to try to secure like a contract?
Well, Jeannie's idea is so we've been wanting to set up a militia,
Okay.
right? Arming peasants with spears and teaching them to fight is fine, but guns are better.
Are they?
When you're behind a wall and
Jeannie's-
have time to reload, it's pretty good.
In Jeannie's mind, guns are better. Listen, this is not an argument you're going to win with logic.
Okay.
Like, you're talking about, like...
Let's just be clear that this is not a political stance on gun violence. This is a chaotic neutral character deciding in Dungeons and Dragons that she wants more guns.
Yes.
Fair enough. Is there? I know there's a damage table for firearms in the DMG. They are very wise to not publish this table in the player's handbook.
Yeah.
I can't imagine why.
I think it's like 1d12 for a... it's like 1d10 and 1d12 for a pistol and musket.
That
That's
sounds
what
right
we're
to me, but my thought was, is there a price chart back
There is.
Oh,
Yeah, there's prices there.
I
Alright.
remember distinctly that muskets are like 500 gold pieces a pop because Alex.
do you know where
Well,
that
I mean-
chart is in the DMG offhand? I know it's in the back-ish.
I mean, we absolutely don't have enough money to buy multiple muskets if they're that expensive.
No, not even a little bit, but...
Right. Well,
Yeah, I don't know that we're going to be able to do what you want to do here, Jeannie. We just don't have that kind of money.
I want a price. I don't necessarily want the guns. I feel like Jeannie could manufacture the guns.
Yeah,
But, like,
I'm
the-
still okay with wanting to go see it, but I don't think we're going to walk out of here with a contract for a bunch of guns.
Right. No. It's mostly the Jeannie's not an alchemist. She can't. She knows the formulas, I guess, for gunpowder, but she's not great at synthesizing it.
But she could still make guns and sell them for us.
But
Where is that stuff in the DMG? I'm trying to find that price table.
267.
Okay, so not the very back.
No, it's like 250 for a pistol, 500 for a musket.
There we go. Okay, thank you. So the first thing you learn upon arrival, I mean, the factory itself, it's not a pleasant place. This whole district, like if you just look at like what else is around here, it's like just a lot of workhouses. You're at the arms factory here. There's, I like this one. It's just the heavy industries factory down here.
God, what do they make there? I don't think I want to know.
Up to the north, you got the steam energy factory.
That's just where they make the smog.
Yeah.
Smog generators.
Smog generation facility. You're pretty far away, but there's like the whale oil factory is up here. Like all the factories are.
Wait, hold on. Auntie Kramer's porridge factory.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
like,
you didn't see that on the way in?
How would you make porridge? What?
Don't ask. Just don't.
How do you
ask.
think food is made? Like actual in the real world? Where do you think your porridge comes from?
I mean, presumably it's just
Do
milling
you think
a lot of grain.
you think there was a handmade artisans crafting your porridge every morning? Trouble?
The idea of a porridge, like a Victorian era porridge factory, is horrifying.
that's why it's in Ravenloft.
Yeah. That's why,
Again, where do you think porridge comes from?
Like
I'm sure it's about 50% rat at this point.
there's
And
brown
sugar.
orphans in there because they lose digits in the mill machines.
So, some of the workers in and around the arms factory, you can kind of get a sense of the place. Right now, their contract is fitting a trio of battleships with long guns and providing the gunpowder to fire them.
Jeannie, can you build us a battleship?
Yeah, if I had enough wood, yeah. Like this has never come up. It was something that I like this is something Evie would know, but and this is something that never came up, and I was trying to lean into with the engine, but I decided Jeannie's dream is to build a functional airship. Like, like that was her dream. Like I get that doesn't. It's not really a thing that existed in the world that like the characters came from, but she wanted to invent it. So that's why she went to like shipbuilding school, and she got woodworking proficiency and blacksmithing proficiencies.
Evie's really proud of you for working so hard to pursue your dreams.
But like, so yeah, Jeannie could build a boat. She has the technology, just not the capital.
Mm-hmm.
Although I suppose if we got enough, it would be really neat to build an entire boat out of ironwood or wood steel.
I think that would be very difficult, probably.
Yeah, building airships is supposed to be easy, Jeannie.
Jeannie wants to be Sid,
Which one? So,
the good one.
They're all good.
a
one?
couple of them are good.
I don't know about that.
To be fair, Jeannie wants to be Sid, but unfortunately, like her disposition means she's going to turn into Final Fantasy 12 Sid.
Nice. That's the best one. So
for
there's a
more
man,
context, please look. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
one of the foremen at the factory is able to have just an impromptu sit down with you in one of the forward offices on the factory grounds. Just a few minutes of his time to hear your proposition. This is a heavy-lidded man. His name is Garrig. Garrig, you get the sense he speaks to a lot of people with a lot of propositions. This is one of the factories in the city. They have their pick of contracts, what they choose to do and not do, which is unsettling because what they make are arms and ammunition.
Where are these boats going?
I mean, apparently the only thing people in Ravenloft do is have wars with each other. That's it.
Ludendorff and even Greater Lamordia has been in a time of peace for generations.
Well, they're the arms dealers. Nobody blows them up, or else they can't buy guns for their own battles. I mean, Evelyn and Strahd have been at war for thousands of years.
Not with the type of armament being produced in this factory, though.
No, not with guns and battleships.
There's a cat fight.
It's a cold war, but occasionally gets hot.
So Garrig is very pleased to meet your acquaintance, but he talks very fast, and you can tell this is a man who probably only sleeps 3 or 4 hours a night. His job is to oversee contract acquisition for the factory. First thing he's going to want to know is, who are you people?
Evie,
Well-
what do you want me to tell him?
I mean,
Does he
I'm
speak
not-
Darkanese?
He speaks passable enough Darkanese, if you
Okay.
insist.
Well, then, if you want to talk Evie, you can. If you want to say anything in private, we can always go into Aetherine.
Yeah, I mean, I think I want to just tell them, we own a town and we're looking to maybe secure a small, number of arms for our personal defense.
Good, but who do you tell him you are?
Representatives of a
We represent a territory in Darkon, I guess.
Okay. He may
Yeah, I
be
don't
able
want-
to secure the kind of contract you're looking for. He tells you that there are heavy tariffs on any sort of combustible material, including gunpowder, including firearms, including ammunition, going into Darkon. This was put into place ages and ages ago, long before his time. He has no idea why. Is it your intention to secure this contract and take these goods into Darkon? Or are these for use somewhere else in Lamordia? He has to know so his paperwork gets filed properly.
And our intention is to take it to Darkon, right?
Yeah.
That sounds like we're gonna be. There's all kinds of fees. This is gonna cost a lot of money.
So all three of you, I'll say individually if you like, so you're not helping each other in the middle of a conversation. You can make an insight check, each of you individually.
That's a 15 for Ekon.
Okay. Can anybody beat a 15?
Hold on. I got a 16.
Okay. Evie and Ekon. The man never outright says anything about a deal with Azalin. In fact, he probably doesn't even know Azalin exists. But knowing Azalin yourselves and how he likes to do business in his own realm, you get the sense that the king has a vested interest in this sort of technology not advancing into Darkon. And that's the purpose of this deal with Lamordian artisans and factories.
Okay, so the tax of weapons going in was actually Aslan's doing. He doesn't want this stuff showing up in his kingdom.
Correct. That's what your insight buys you. Like, if Aslan knows that you've done this, it might cause problems with his. The actual deal that Garrig is able to get for you is if you want to do it all on the up and up and pay the fees, which are exorbitant, or if you don't and you just want to pay the market price, he doesn't care either way. But if you don't go through the proper channels, it's going to blow back with Aslan.
Okay. I don't think we want to start shit with Aslan right now. I think that's just bad.
What is the price markup on the exorbitant fees?
Ooh. Probably in the vicinity of 300 or 400%. Thousands and thousands and thousands of gold pieces.
Yeah.
This is just not viable.
Yeah, that's not feasible in the least.
And I mean, it's not really a gun store either. It's a factory where you're looking to secure a large contract. Like, if you're just looking to outfit 10 or 12 guys for 1,000 gold or so, that's like way below the sort of deal they'd probably even be willing to look into.
Well, Eugenia was looking into as soon as you said they make cannons here, cannons and stuff. Like, yeah, for real. Like, Eugenia wants to put cannon turrets on the battlements of our wall.
So there's not like a tour that you can take of the factory or anything, but it's also like if this were Genie's factory, you would have a better handle on who's coming in and out and moving around. But you're not running this factory, so things are a little lax. If you just wanted to sneak around for a while and look at things, probably the worst thing that would happen is you'd get thrown out if you're caught.
Yeah, I suppose. Jeannie is going to slip around. She's going to find the little white. She's going to put on the little white hard hat and the safety vest and do that thing that.
Just be carrying a clipboard and no one will think you're out of place.
What? Why don't you just go invisible?
I don't have that spell prepared. Actually, wait, do I? Hold on. What level 2 spells do I have? I can't read my handwriting. Holy sh... No, that's kinetic jaunt. Okay. No, I don't have invisibility prepared.
But yeah, there's definitely a sense that Evelyn does not want the industrialization of Lamordia to creep into Darkon. This is something that he's apparently been actively against.
Well, yeah, if he's been feeding his own people into a machine for hundreds of years, the last thing he wants is for them to be armed.
Not only that, but this is a place of learning and science and medicine. And Aslan is not interested in having an educated or medicated or well taken care of population in Darkon.
Eugenia Veritas, security consultant.
Uh-oh.
just
Evie
picture-
and Ekon, is there anything else you're trying to get out of the meeting with this man? With Foreman Gehrig?
Yeah, I'd say I wasn't aware of like the exorbitant costs, so so I tell him we would have to get back to him after we run the numbers. So I basically just say, well, we're not going to be making a deal tonight.
And that's pretty common. Usually it
Yeah.
takes months to iron out a deal like this. And in any case, any sort of large structural deal would have to wait until the current contract is fulfilled. And they've been working it for years.
Yeah, I guess I'll try to get some information about like who ordered these battleships.
He's not at liberty to discuss, but he does drop a few names and rumors and so. He's perfectly happy to talk behind the backs of the people in Ludendorff.
Yeah, but I guess those names don't mean anything to me. It's not like, Strahd von Zarevich ordered them.
No, he doesn't say Strahd ordered a battleship. But yeah, it's the same thing as Jeannie was pointing out coming into the city. It's like they're outfitting these battleships for basically no purpose, and then they don't go anywhere, and then they sit there, and then they deteriorate, and then they just have to be scrapped. And every step of this process involves work and rot and pollution.
Now, when you say battleship, I'm imagining like like a frigate or a galleon. I'm not imagining like a modern steel warship like we think of as a battleship.
Correct. Yeah, that's
Like
I mean, this is a highly industrialized city. I'm wondering, do they have ironclads?
Like maybe a silverware ironclad or something like that.
Probably not. No, well, I don't know. There might be like one eccentric gnome or something.
Well, you remember Jeannie tried to build one and then she got shot down. Like she wanted to build one.
There is a magic item in second edition. I don't remember what it's called, but it's basically like a little spider tank that you climb
Oh
into.
yeah, the apparatus of Quash.
That's it. That's exactly it. How do you know this off the top of your head?
One of my favorite magic items.
Because it's in every edition ever since, because Gary Gygax's legacy.
Destil buys the D&D books, right? And instead of reading them, he eats them. And then
That he absorbs
digests-
their power.
And he absorbs their power and knowledge.
What I want to know is like which Captain Planet villain is the Dark Lord of Lamordia? Is
That's a good
is it Verminia Scum? Maybe Hoggish Greedly? What about Loot and Plunder?
This feels like a loot and plunder, honestly.
Yeah.
So Evie and Ekon, you don't make a deal in the end with Garrick, but you learn some things about just the structure of the city, and you learn something in particular about how your own liege lord views trade with Ludendorff.
This is that's That's an interesting piece, particularly because he does not want his populace armed, which makes sense.
That said, the individual pieces, like resources and things used in the factory, aren't produced or sold here, but they are sourced elsewhere in the city. So you could, if you wanted while you're here, buy like kegs of gunpowder.
We could source the raw materials, and then Jeannie could construct them back in Silverbow if we wanted. But that's too much work for one person.
A keg of gunpowder costs 250 gold, 10% markup. It can be yours. It can be had here.
I mean, I'm already carrying one keg of gunpowder.
But
Well,
can carry
if
two
you
things.
have a plan for gunpowder, I'm not against it, but I would want to expend that kind of resource. I want to know what we want to do with it.
Yeah, I just want you to know that the gunpowder and bullets, they're not in the PHB with the rest of the weapons, thank God. But there are prices in the DMG, and they would be available to buy in Ludendorff, specifically because there's an arms factory here that makes use of it.
Okay, now I need to
what-
make sure my sister doesn't get herself killed in this factory.
Genie, did you
What's
cast invisibility?
no, I don't have unless I have a scroll. Hold on. That's possible.
Well, go ahead and give me a stealth check.
All right.
Applying your invisibility if you're able to use it.
That is a stealth check of 17 plus 5 would be 22.
Okay. Genie,
Uh-huh.
the worst thing that you think most probably would happen if you get caught is that they just throw you out.
Right.
That being said, this is an arms factory run by God knows who. With that in mind, on a scale of 1 to 10, what level
10.
of risk? Really?
Yeah.
Didn't
Oh,
even
God.
wait for the question.
I've come to the
Man,
conclusion
how you
that these
do it.
questions are they're trick questions, and the same thing is going to happen no matter what I say.
Is that what you think?
I don't think that's true.
That's not true at
I don't know
all.
where you're getting that idea.
I will say for sure that it's definitely not the case.
I
One
know.
time I said 10, and then he said roll initiative.
So, Genie, you're willing to assume on a scale of 1 to 10, a level 10 risk to learn what? To do what in this arms factory?
Jeannie's she's just sating her curiosity. Like, what kind of guns are they? That's the entire reason.
Okay.
She's not going to steal anything or anything like that. She just wants to know what they're building, what processes they're using, and that kind of thing. Like,
So right now, the main contract is building long guns for a ship,
Yeah.
cannons and things. And there are several different kinds. And the most amazing thing to you is possibly their assembly line that they use, because that would be infrastructure that wouldn't exist in Brennanine. Mechanisms in Brennanine are the purview of individuals with workshops and lifetimes of expertise. But watching the assembly line at work is astounding because you don't need intricate work. You don't need experts. You just need somebody who you can teach, hold this metal ring in place like this and hit it with this hammer and then move it on down the line. That's
Okay.
your one job all day, every day.
Jeannie has changed her mind about stealing things. Is there any are there any like maintenance manuals or anything she could steal?
So now you're trying to like get into an administration wing.
Well, like the kind of manuals that would be like with the maintenance crew. The guys that go down and fix things.
Probably not. There's probably a lot of oral tradition happening.
I think you should stop with the amount of risk 1 to 10 question, Rickard, and you want to ask, what song do you want the Oompa Loompas to sing when you die?
Well, I don't know. I just asked him 1 to 10, and he said 10, and then he went further. So I think now we're at like 11 or 12. So we got like a 20 what on that stealth check?
22.
22.
Oompa Loompa song, that's all I'm saying.
Genie,
Yeah.
you find yourself in a dusty office, looking for where manuals or things might be kept. You do find a dusty office with a few old shelves, looking for some. You found like some old scheduling sheets and things that pointed to a particular passage in a particular manual. This is how the scheduling is done for this particular piece of the manufacturing process, which is outlined in this other place. In tracking down this manufacturing process manual, this old dusty tome in this forgotten, unlit office, and you're flipping through it, perusing it. It's written in Lamordian, which you can't read unless you have comprehend languages up,
I do.
Okay. And yeah, that's the breakthrough that allows Ludendorff to create as much product and as much waste as possible. As they found a way to take common workers in your society, farmers, laborers, and have them make highly skilled materials, and this is how they've done it. Instead of training one person to build something complicated, you train 100 people, each to do one part of the process, and then line them all up.
They invented capitalism.
They just got way better at it.
They invented the assembly line. We got 4 here.
Yeah. So, is there, the thing G's looking for, she's looking for, specifically, she's looking for, diagrams and things like that.
Oh, and it has plenty.
Okay.
For building one of these cannons.
She pockets it in her bag of holding and then
as you go to pocket it, you hear some voices outside in the hall.
Uh-huh.
And you realize that the door that you entered to get into this dusty little room with some of these old materials and manuals and things was pretty small. You had to duck your head down into it. And the voices out in the hall, one of them, they loaded it all up. Yeah, I believe so. And it's the grating place underneath this time. Yeah, I believe so. Do you know who's cleaning the grates out this week? Is it Eric? Eric couldn't shit with a manual if you gave him one. Well, all right. Suppose it's not our problem if it's not. Count me down. Very well. 5, 4, and at 3 you hear a pilot light go on. 3, 2, 1. And then the room bursts into flame.
Okay.
Bad, huh?
This is what happens when we go past Ted. He just sets you on fire.
I mean, Genie has cast absorb elements to reduce fire damage, and she goes out the door.
Okay, roll initiative. Roll it at advantage because they were literally counting you down.
All right.
You only got to beat a 5.
I do.
Is reduce elements an action or a reaction?
It's a reaction.
Okay.
It's absorb elements.
Absorb elements. And
Yeah.
it does what? Gives you resistance to...
Yeah, it gives me a resistance to an element. So, I mean, if she hears them, she wouldn't run out because she doesn't know what they're doing. I guess she would use her action to take a better look at her surroundings. Does she realize she's in a furnace?
Yeah, you've climbed into a refuse bin. All of this stuff is just old materials and things. There are old stacks of dusty materials and things, but yeah, it's all earmarked to be burned. And you realize the floor that you're on is slightly sloped to one side.
Okay. Well, she's going to cast. What is it? Because I think I actually have a spell that will let me get out of here. So hold on. This is in the Strixhaven book.
Okay.
It allows me. No, it just okay. I thought it let me move through solid. It's just I can move through creature space without difficult terrain.
Which is probably good here because the 2 guys who are counting down are standing outside of.
Right.
The hole you
Okay.
had to duck into.
I will use a bonus action to cast Kinetic Jaunt. So it gives me 10 feet increased walking speed. I don't provoke opportunity attacks, and I can move through the space of another creature, and it doesn't count as. I can move through the space of a difficult creature, and it doesn't count as difficult terrain.
Okay.
Then I'm going to use my action to dash.
And just run away?
And just run away. I mean, I have put the book in my pack.
You stole it. We got it.
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
a thief.
it's in my pack. It's not stealing. It's dumpster diving.
I mean,
It's a known law. Once you throw something away, it's free. It's free game.
So
They've-
so now you're quoting me on the laws of Ludendorff. Now you're an expert.
no, I'm.
Genie is a freegan.
So here's what happens, Genie.
Yeah.
Vegan. God.
When they see you pop out and start running, they holler after you. And the pilot light that you heard flick on, the man's holding some kind of device with some large piece of heavy machinery strapped onto his back. As though, I mean, you've been out in the wilderness, people carry their bedrolls and their packs. It's bigger and heavier than that. The man's lumbering under the weight. And when he pivots this device in your direction, a gout of flame licks behind you, just like when Ekon releases one of his fireballs.
Huh?
And you realize you have no idea how to get out of this complex. You're completely lost inside this factory. Evie and Ekon, a few minutes after you finish up your meeting with Gehrig, you hear what sounds like a loud, droning siren from deep inside of the factory. And the workers all around you drop what they're doing, head towards the nearest wall, and it looks like they've done this 1,000 times. Each one head towards the nearest wall, face it, place their hands up against it, all in a line, all around you, at all the workstations.
Evie looks back. I'm like, you know what this is?
No, they seem to.
You flag somebody down and ask them?
I mean, you said all the workers are acting as if this happens all the time, right?
Yeah, this is completely routine.
Ekon isn't particularly concerned. He doesn't need to know.
Okay. Genie.
Well, I'll ask.
Yeah.
Like, if someone knows Darkanese.
Probably not one of the workers, no.
Okay, then I guess I can't ask.
Genie, roll me percentile.
Sure.
Let's give you, since we turned it up to 11, I'll give you an 11% chance of getting out unscathed.
The 17.
A 17, that's not enough. Genie, let's boil it down to 3 options.
Okay.
Option 1, give yourself up.
Mhm.
Allow your pursuers to catch you. Option 2, find a bolt hole and hunker down until the alert goes away. We'll call this the solid snake gambit.
Okay.
Option 3, all hell breaks loose and you get out at any means necessary. But it won't be quiet, and people will take notice.
Okay.
All 3 are bad options. Which one would you like?
Genie is going to. Genie is not a subtle person,
No.
so option 3.
Okay.
Thank you. For my entertainment, thank you.
What does that look like? What resources do you have in terms of spells and class features and things that you can use to get out of here?
Oh my god.
You're asking the artificer who can conjure cannons out of thin air what her resources are?
And who has, don't you have like 9 scrolls of fireball?
Oh my.
Oh boy.
And this is a musician's factory. I think we're about to set a record for explosions.
Victor, you asked Genie to do one thing.
What was the one thing?
Not
blow up the factory.
Yeah, let's get this rolling, Genie. What resources do you have to take option 3 and get out of this place, even if it means blowing through doors, steamrolling workers?
I have Vortex, Warp, Kinetic. I have... How many? Let me verify how many spell slots I actually have, because I think that is wrong. But I can move people with Vortex Warp. I currently have Kinetic Jaunt up for a minute.
Yep.
It basically lets me run through groups of people. Without, like, I could literally just run through groups of people.
Okay. You're going to have to. Like, we'll assume that you have to.
Right. I can jump from high places by casting Featherfall.
Okay, that's definitely not subtle.
I can use... I have so many scrolls. I don't plan on using the Scrolls of Fireball as a option 1, but I could use like a Scroll of Creation to, if I wanted to like block a door or whatever, I could summon a giant like 5-foot cube of basalt.
But you're willing to use a Scroll of Fireball if you have to.
Not in a munitions factory.
So you're not willing to use Scrolls of Fireball at all.
Okay, so what are the risks of of like the factory becoming a smoking crater?
That's
Very high.
That sounds like the kind of luxury question you don't have the time to get an answer to. You're on the run.
I'm on the run. So Jeannie she can use her she's not going to use the Scrolls of Fireball, but she's not opposed to causing explosions.
Okay.
Because she can do that without Fireball.
Okay.
She can
Evie
summon
and Ekon.
She can summon her turret and detonate it.
A few moments, you guys are sitting here watching this go on, and you see some of the foremen and line workers, including Garrig. You can tell that he has an appointed place to be, a certain amount of workers under his care, and his job is he walks the line, accounting for people, and as he gets about halfway down, you hear an explosion somewhere off inside the factory.
It's a force damage if that is relevant.
Just part of the stone walls of the factory blow apart, and the smog overhead is joined by gray smoke from inside. And you realize that Jeannie's taking too long. She's supposed to have been back by now.
No, Evie's absolutely thinking to herself, God damn it, Jeannie.
Are the two of you... At this point, the most appropriate thing for the two of you to do is leave the factory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ekon, I think we've worn out our welcome.
Yeah, as soon as there's an explosion, Ekon will be like,
Well, it was nice meeting
yeah.
you.
Okay.
Yeah, he's still here.
Well, Garrig has gone to tend to... You were watching him tend to his line of workers. His job is just to make sure everybody on his floor is accounted for. He was halfway through doing that chore when you heard an explosion.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
We need to make ourselves scarce.
Yeah. And as soon as we're out of earshot of anyone, I can cast Sending to Jeannie and Aetherine and ask, where the hell, where in Air's shadow are you?
Jeannie,
Huh?
at the moment that occurs, you are steadily floating down to a cramped alley somewhere in the workers' district, having blown your way through part of a door in one of the upper levels of the factory with the flamethrower guys chasing you down and the sirens blaring all around you. Go ahead and mark off, let's say, Vortex Warp. Does that moves you and it moves anybody in your way, right?
It just moves people.
Okay.
It doesn't move me, other people.
Moves other people. Go ahead and mark off any spell slot that's capable of casting Vortex Warp.
Okay. So that's all my level 2s and level 3s.
And go ahead and mark off whatever you use to create the explosion, to detonate your...
That's just my turret, so I'll
Okay.
mark that is used, yeah.
So you realized you had, in a dead end, you were much higher up in the factory, you were on a much higher floor than you expected you were. Turning
mark
around
off-
and going back through the crowd that you just used all that Vortex Warp to get through safely. The
Oh,
better
that's,
plan was to set your turret up on the windowsill, detonate it, and dive out.
And then, so I'm going to mark off that feather fall.
Okay. And then, as you're slowly making your way down to this alley, cramped in between two ramshackle shops of some kind or another, that's when Ekon contacts you.
And then I'm going to mark off one more for disguise self. And then he's just like, on the way back to the inn, the flop house or whatever. I'll meet you there.
I'll repeat that to Evie.
Okay, so I guess we're going to be spending the rest of our time in Lamordia, like, dodging the cops.
That's the talk on your way back is that, I mean, thievery in the factories is common enough, and the factories each have their own kind of little security measures in place. But this one, I mean, the fireworks were visible. Somebody not only blew a hole in the side of one of the upper levels and got clear, they never caught the culprit, but they also stole something, and nobody knows what they stole. Lots of rumors,
Can't take you anywhere.
Well, to be fair, I took you.
So when we come back from break, we'll go over to Victor and Edmont, who are just going to the university lounge to have a nice drink and some pleasant conversation, an educated exchange of ideas where absolutely no explosions will happen.
And
I'm
we're
sure
definitely
nothing can go wrong.
we're definitely not going to steal anything.
Let's reconvene here at about 4:45.